Good people, what's up? What's good? It's your boy Caleb Smith, host of the 3 Million Podcast. Today we are back for another great episode featuring Brittany from Exposure Heights. We're about to talk about content creation, her business, creatives in Atlanta, and so much more. Let's get it.
My name is Brittany Witherby, and I am the founder and director of Exposure Heights. I host networking events here in Atlanta, Georgia, and want to unite the creative community here.
All right, Brittany, first off, thank you so much for pulling up. You and Warren, you guys' story is so interesting and it's so cool, seeing what you guys are doing throughout the community, especially here in Atlanta. Can you speak on what inspired Exposure Heights? How'd that start for you guys?
Exposure Heights is a company dedicated to just bringing photographers together. We kind of want to erase the term starving artist.
That's real.
We want to kind of create a clear path for aspiring creatives to become professional artists.
I love that. And then when it comes to creativity, that's such a big thing now here in Atlanta. I love seeing what you guys are doing and seeing other creatives collab. When it comes to content creation, photography, and just being a creative, how did you start in that field?
So I started photography probably like middle school.
Okay, cool.
Just really enjoyed anything to do with art, really, just drawing, painting, anything. And photography really hit home for me. I started like taking pictures of just things, buildings and flowers and stuff like that. And I eventually progressed to people. So I really love portraits. I love capturing, the essence of a person, just fun, creative stuff. So just ever since then, I've just always had a camera on my side. I've kind of went back and forth between digital and film photography. But yeah, anything creative, it just it's awesome.
I love that. And also, you said something that was very, very powerful about starving artists. And I think that, so many times when people think about artistry or content creators, that they have to starve, that they have to struggle.
Right.
When it comes to you guys actually collabing and working together, what benefits have you seen from other creatives working together as one?
So one of the main benefits for creatives kind of working together and collaborating is it's a very tough industry to be in on your own. We would love to say that photography is a one-man, one-woman job, but you need a team.
That's real.
And that's what we've been able to develop with our just community at Exposure Heights, finding other people that are willing to chip in and willing to, give you some of their time to help bring a project to life.
That's real. Yeah. I love that. And bringing the project to life, photography, for people who are interested in becoming photographers, because now it's a lot of people that want to get into content creation and photography, all those great things. What are some good steps if you want to start taking pictures and actually doing it as an art form?
So I would say first you just need to explore what type of photography you like. You can shoot pretty much anything, and there's no industry that you can't make money. I mean, let's say, and this is very off the wall, but like, let's say you love turtles. Something very random, something that like turtle photography, you can't make money in that. But I promise you, if you hone in on what you love to do and what you want to create, first of all, there's going to be other people that like turtle photography too.
Right.
But you can find your niche. You can find your own industry. And there's somebody that's looking for what you have to bring.
That's great. Also, Exposure Heights, what I love seeing is that you guys have a team. And I feel like having a team is so, so important when it comes to finding certain people to work with. Can you speak on how you guys even started to bring on Warren or bring on everybody else on the staff as well? How did that whole journey start from building that team?
So building a team actually came very naturally, I guess. It wasn't as forced as I thought it would have to be.
Yeah.
So I kind of started, this is going back a little bit, but I started the meetups and it really was just me, my mom, and my sister.
Wow.
We'd pack up the car, pack up a U-Haul, and we'd bring everything to an event. And that was my little team. But what I realized was that was too much work.
I believe it.
I could not do that on my own anymore, especially if I wanted to get bigger and better, and all the little things that I couldn't do on my own. But I had to just keep going. I couldn't say, oh, I can't find a team. Nobody's going to help me for free.
Right.
If you stop and think that your team is going to come when you've made it, then you'll never find those people.
Wow.
So thankfully, I am so blessed to have a team that mostly everybody attended an artist meetup. That's how they met me for the first time.
Wow.
And simply because I was staying in my lane and doing what I was doing with the small team I had,
Right.
other people saw that and wanted to be a part of it. So it's truly a blessing to have a team and people that believe in your vision, sometimes even more than I do.
That's right. Yeah.
And just keep me going.
I
So
love that. The artist meetup, can you speak on that? Like what inspired that to have artists meet up, all those good things?
yeah, so artist meetups, it really came from a place of me being in college and not finding my creative community.
Wow. Yeah.
The best place for me at college was my art classes. That's where I got to meet not just photographers, but just meet other people in the same field, people that understood how tough it was to make money in this industry. And that was a place that really kept me from probably going off the deep end, quite honestly. And just that experience in college, I was really homesick. I didn't like being so far from Atlanta, which was only an hour and a half, but I didn't have a car really to get to and from. So I felt like I was missing everything.
Probably stuck.
Yeah. Like events were happening and, people were doing these awesome projects that I would have loved to volunteer my time for, but I couldn't get there. So it kind of started with me just wanting to make the most of my trip to Atlanta.
Wow.
I was like, if I'm coming to Atlanta, my mom's bringing me, I'm going to meet every creative I can. So I sent out the flyer to probably 200, 300 people.
Wow.
And just off Instagram, anybody that they didn't have to be at the top of their industry, but just people that I saw their passion and I saw their love for what they did. I just wanted to meet these people and see what they had to bring. So I sent it out and got a whole bunch of people excited about it. But then as the days got closer and closer, more people were like, so sorry, I can't make it, like, no, I'm not going to be in town. And, ended up getting there and there was only one person at first.
Wow.
I walked up and was like, oh my gosh, I was devastated. I wanted to make the most of this time and there was only one person, but come to find out, he came all the way from Charlotte, North Carolina.
That's what, like a 4-hour drive?
Yeah.
Wow.
And wasn't staying with family. Like he went back that night. And that alone was confirmation for me that people will travel for connection and for community. And people will do whatever it takes to be a part of it.
Wow.
So by the end of that meetup, we ended up having like 10 people total. I didn't check the weather, so it got rained out.
Everything just going wrong.
You would have thought it was a great reason to give up. It was a great reason to say, it's not worth it. Why am I putting myself out there like that?
I
have to share with social media after and say it was a failure. But something told me that if there's 10 other people that have that same yearning for something more, something, not just a party or a get together or a typical networking event. If they want a place where they can create, they can meet other creatives, they can build their portfolio, I knew that I have to keep going. And it's more what I needed for sure at that time. But it was very confirming to see that even those 10 people who have been very instrumental in my career, like just these past few years, it was a great experience.
Wow. I love that. And again, you said something that was very, very powerful about the average person would have quit, right? 10 people show up, it got rained out. What drives you to just keep going and to learn from each experience and to not think, all right, so since this wasn't this massive success, I'm going to just throw in the towel. But instead, you kept pushing. So what drives you for that?
So with the artist meetups, I used to be very concerned with how many people were coming. I was like, I need at least 20 to make it a solid group picture. I need, at least 3 people that are at the top of their game, maybe like a photographer celebrity appearance or something like that. And, my mom actually told me once, she was like, the people that are supposed to be there will be there.
That's right.
And it has never failed that every artist meetup, somebody has given me a reason to do the next one.
Wow.
It was, my second artist meetup ever. So this is after I learned from that first one. It got rained out. I made sure to check the weather this time.
I feel you.
And, I decided because the first one I didn't bring props or
Mm.
backdrops or anything, but this
Wow.
one I was like, "Oh, we're doing it
Coming
big."
prepared.
Yeah. So we had, our car packed full.
Mm.
I had my friend Jordan. He was like collaborating on the event with me,
That's
so
dope.
he helped me set up. We had like this tent as a changing table or as like a changing booth for the models.
Wow.
Like it was just awesome.
Wow.
But once we got to the end, this mom of one of the young men that came, she was like, "Hey, I have something for you." And she, I walked her all the way back to her
Mhm.
car, and she gave me $50. And mind you, I was going way out of pocket for all this stuff. I never left an artist meetup without spending my entire paycheck.
Wow.
Like, I just wanted it to be perfect. I wanted
Mhm.
to make sure everybody was, had snacks and water.
Mm.
And she gave me $50. And that meant the absolute world to me.
Yeah.
And she told me that this was exactly what her son needed at that time. He needed to
Mm.
be a part of some community to help give him direction, to
Mhm.
help give him some just that creative flair.
Yeah.
And so he wasn't just on his own trying to
Mhm.
make this happen.
That's right.
And it was just a truly powerful moment for it to only be my second one and for somebody to think enough of it to pay me,
Mm.
to compensate me for some of the stuff I bought. It was powerful. I'm telling you, every single artist meetup, somebody gives me a reason to
Wow.
do the next one.
That's a great story. And I think that that highlights sacrifice. You're somebody who was spending your money, hard earned money on actually creating the event, having something dope for artists to come to create, to learn, collab. Can you speak on the importance of having a sacrifice when it comes to something that you can truly be passionate about sometimes?
Absolutely. So sacrifice, it's easier said than done.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I think specifically with money, for me, I'm not the best with managing my money. As my business partner
Yeah.
Warren might tell you, I would give away everything just to make something dope.
I love that.
Which is why it's good to have a team
Yeah.
because you have somebody to, bounce that off of
Right,
and make
right,
sure that
right.
you're, you know, expanding at a reasonable rate.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but as far as sacrifice goes, I think you have to be willing to invest
Mm,
in your craft and other people's craft.
that's a fact.
If you want to create something great, and it's more than just your craft, like
Mm,
you have to see where other people need it,
mm,
whether it's they're trying to buy their first camera
yeah.
or they, need to get to an event or
Mm,
something like that. It
yeah.
is worth investing in other people
Mm,
because it comes back around.
that's right.
It always comes back around. And I've been so fortunate to meet so many incredible people
Mm,
that have the same mindset.
mm.
All they want to do is invest in other people, and it just makes us all better for it.
Yeah, that's great. So from sacrifice to now seeing you create the content, what inspires that? Like, where do you find the inspirations for when it comes to taking the photo shoots, the production, content creation? Where do you get inspired from?
I'm definitely inspired from the people around me.
Mm,
I think um, when we, think of an idea or a concept that we
yeah,
want to shoot kind of as exposure heights,
yeah.
we pull from all the meetups, we pull from people we've met, and we try to incorporate. Um, I mean, we say creativity is pretty a
Hmm.
blanket term,
Yeah.
but um, just something out of the ordinary
Mm,
and something that, like I said, lights that fire in people that
yeah.
makes them say, even if I don't think everything we do as exposure heights is meant for everyone.
Mm,
I think people pull from it what they need.
right.
And that comes from even the photo shoots as well. Like people can pull from exposure heights from what they need at that time.
Mhm. I love that. I love that. So everybody's pulling from what they need. People from the meetups are feeling inspired as well, which is amazing. What do you love the most about networking with people? Because I think that that's a really big thing. I mean, you guys' mission is huge when it comes to creatives having a space to meet up, collab. But what do you love the most when it comes to networking with other creatives?
Networking at events definitely gives you a different perspective.
Mm,
It's very easy to get in your head and to overanalyze. I think a lot of us as creatives, we
yeah.
are very introverted
Yeah.
and we kind of keep to ourselves
Yeah.
and we're not able to kind of share just a different side of us.
Hmm.
But when you see other people in the same room
Right.
that are being vulnerable as well and sharing that creative side of them, it just inspires you to do the same. So I think that's the most important part of networking with other creatives. It gives you new perspectives, it gives you new ideas,
Yeah.
and it gives you that purpose and that drive to keep going, to know that there's ups and downs with being a creative. You're not always going to be at your peak and feel like you just got it going on. You're super creative. Like, you can go months without feeling that drive, without feeling passionate about pretty much anything. But when you meet other creatives, it just stimulates your creativity, and it makes you want to not only be a part of something bigger, but contribute to something bigger.
I love that. And speaking on the ups and also the downs, the ebbs, the flows, how do you battle those moments of being down, right? Of those juices, it might not be flowing, or you might be in a bad headspace. How do you fight through those moments of being down sometimes?
I definitely have a lot of downtimes.
Yeah.
You know, I'd like to say I had more ups than lows. But quite honestly, like, let's say an artist meetup happens and it'll be almost a high, like a ton of adrenaline. You know, I get to see all the people posting after. But the day after, I'm like, oh, what's next?
Jeez.
What's next? Like, that wasn't as good as it could have been. You know, somebody had trouble finding it. Like, I mean, going into a whirlwind of why it wasn't good enough. But when you have other people around you, like my team, they are able to kind of ground me and say, like, this is not, it's okay. Like, it's okay to have the high of the meetup and then come down again. And then we'll pick back up when you're ready. So it's very important to have other people, you know, that are going through those highs and lows as well, because, so obviously tough if you guys are both in a low.
Yeah, that's real. That's
you know,
real.
but that happens too. But you just kind of have to wait it out and find something that forces you to be creative. And I think that's what the artist meetups do, is it forces people to step out of their comfort zone.
Right.
You know, where you could just sit at home and you could maybe do a project or two, but artist meetups kind of force you to be a part of almost like a classroom setting. You know, like when you're in school, you have people that you don't necessarily call up and say, hey, I want to go to lunch.
Right.
Or, you know, hey, let's do this project. But it gives you, you know, some people to bounce your ideas off of, and it just helps pick you up out of that low a lot faster.
I love that. Today, you and Warren, y'all pulled up, great energy. You guys have been great, you know, talking on the phone. What impact has having Warren on your team and you and Warren combining on content creation, on photography, the vision, all of that? What impact has he had on your team?
So Warren has definitely made Exposure Heights more of a business. Before, it was just a passion.
Got you.
It was just investing and hoping for the best. But he's really helped make it more concrete and help me plan where Exposure Heights is going. So it started as just networking events where we meet people, we create, we build portfolios. But now we want to help these creatives elevate. We want to take them to the next level. We want to give them that team mentality so that they can start booking bigger jobs. Any successful photographer has a team. And being a lone photographer myself, it's very difficult to, you know, book bigger clients. It's difficult to feel confident when somebody books you for a lot of money if you don't have people in your corner. And just to touch a little bit on an experience I had that told me I needed this team around me. I got booked for, it was probably my biggest job yet. And I got booked to do the photography for this boxing match. And it was going to be huge. Like, they had 2 rings going at the same time. It was a female competitive boxing. And I started off as just saying, yeah, I can do the photography. And then I'll have my little booth after and sell pictures and, you know, make my money back. And then it kind of expanded into, oh, well, we also need video. And I was like, okay, I could do that. Yeah. So I went over to the good old Aperture Rent and picked me up a couple cameras and SD cards and spent way too much money trying to prepare for this shoot. But I was like, it's gonna be worth it. People are gonna pay big bucks for these pictures, these videos. And I went into that first day and I was by myself. And I mean, I could have cried
Wow.
the whole ride home. I was just devastated because everything was happening. I had to start and stop cameras from recording. And just such an incredible opportunity, but I wasn't ready. And not even that I wasn't ready, I didn't have a team. And that's what really hindered that job from probably being a turning point in my photography career.
Right.
Was not being ready to handle something like that. So we want to provide just the idea of having a team, like not having to do this on your own. And so that when you get booked for that boxing match or you get booked for that job,
You're ready for it.
yeah, and you can call Exposure Heights and say, hey, I got this big job coming up. I need help. And that's exactly what we're here for, is to, you know, make photographers feel prepared for when they get that big gig.
Ooh, I love that. That's great. What drives that unselfish spirit, right? Because so many times we've seen people creatively, when it comes to creatives, when it comes to just like anything in life, business people, that they'll make it, but then after I make it, I don't want to give back, or I have to save all this great information just for myself. But what drives you guys to actually share all the experiences, all the losses, and help other people win?
Helping other people win is a top priority. We want everybody in our community to get to a new level.
Right.
Because honestly, it gives all of us more value.
Yeah.
It creates a social norm that you have to pay a premium price for photography.
That's real.
And if we have people that are doing it on their own, just getting by, and maybe they're charging $100 a photo shoot, then clients know that they have a backup.
Yeah.
If they don't want to pay the premium price, oh, but there's tons of photographers that'll do it less than you.
Right.
But if we bring up everyone with us, then now when a client calls, we don't have to worry about their budget. They know what it is to book a photography production. Photography is not just a snap of a picture, a creative moment,
Quick edit or something like that afterwards.
right?
Yeah.
Like we spend time, we spend money, we spend years perfecting our craft, coming to artist meetups, building our portfolios, and sometimes people expect us to, you know, just put all that to the side and say, oh, but it's just taking pictures. Oh, it's just an hour.
Right.
But truly, we've been working on this for a really long time. So we want to bring everybody up with us so that not only everybody can eat.
Yeah.
If we're in a team mentality, okay, well, your job is so big, you can book a PA. You can book your friend as a PA.
Yeah.
You can bring your friend that's great at set designing on board. You can pay somebody for capturing behind the scenes. But when you don't have a budget yourself, you have no room to give to anybody else.
That's right.
So if we can increase everybody's budget, and you know, bring in clients that are more understanding about what the creative process looks like, then we can all eat.
I love that. Everybody eats, teamwork, all of those components are so important. A production staff, which is dope to see. When it comes to creatives, photographers especially, how do we start learning when it comes to charging what you're worth? Because I know so many people could feel uncomfortable with saying their price or trying to be cheap so they can get more clients. But how do we find what we should start charging, our worth? How do we start like tapping into that? Because I think that we get somewhat afraid of thinking, hey, if I tell them my price, no one's gonna want to work with me. So how do we get more comfortable with charging our set price?
I think creatives have to know their worth.
Yeah.
They have to understand that it's not just your time, it's your expertise.
Right.
It's the hours you've spent learning a new editing concept. It's the hours you've spent trying to find the camera to buy.
Yeah.
There's so much more that goes into it. And I think you're much better off booking a $2,000 client that understands the creative process than booking $2,000 projects.
Yeah. That's a lot of work.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah.
All you need is a few people. You don't need everybody to understand. Not everybody is meant to be your client. So, and that's what we know at Exposure Heights too, you know, which we're not going to turn away any job, regardless of budget, because there are people that can handle that, and maybe that's the level that they're on. But we want to come to a clear understanding that photography is worth the price.
Yeah.
So, you know, we just, like I said, want to elevate our photographers so they can do bigger things.
Earlier, before we even started shooting, June, she told me about a great book, and it's called "F You Money," where she was basically, telling me like in the book, the author he talks about that you have to be confident in your skill sets, and when it comes to charging people, that you might not have to work with every client that's not congruent with what you have going on, and just keep it pushing and stay confident.
Right.
When it comes to photographers, how do we stay confident when it comes to their skill sets of not feeling like I have to work for 20 people, but instead work with people who actually are going to align with what I do. So how do we stay confident in our skill sets?
I think the best way to stay confident is to have that team,
Mm,
is to have backup.
yeah.
Because when you have people to pay and you have people depending on you to charge your worth,
Hmm.
it's a lot easier to say, this is what we're worth.
Right.
So if you make it less about yourself and like the criticism you have about your own art
Yeah.
and,
Yeah. Yeah.
how something's going to turn out, if you focus on, I need to charge the
Mm,
$2,000
mm,
because I have 3 people that are going to be on set and
mm.
I can't send them home with nothing,
Yeah.
it makes it a lot less about you. So
Mm,
that's where having a team is important and having somebody like Exposure Heights advocating for you.
yeah.
You don't even necessarily have to be the person dealing with your prices,
Mm,
regardless of what level you're on.
mm,
You can have somebody like Exposure Heights, advocating for your worth and putting you in a direction that helps you become a professional artist.
yeah.
Like where I said before, you know, we're all aspiring creatives,
Hmm.
but there's a clear difference between just being passionate and, doing projects for fun
Yeah.
and then turning it into a livable income.
Yeah.
So that's where we come into play in giving you that backup.
Mm.
So if somebody's questioning your worth,
Yeah.
then that's not on you. You don't
Yeah.
have to worry about, you know, explaining why this edit costs more than this edit
Mm.
or why it costs more for you to drive out of town.
Right.
So that's what Exposure Heights is here for.
I love that. And right now, during this time, content creation is booming. Creatives, photographers. I love seeing this brand new space in Atlanta, especially, is really, really just killing it, like in all aspects. I'm seeing this, but also at the same time, I'm weary of people not appreciating creatives and not
Right.
paying creators what they're worth. How do you feel about this current climate when it comes to content creators? And do you feel like content creators are being paid what they're worth?
I think content creator is definitely a very loose term.
Mm.
It's very inclusive of anybody with a camera,
Yeah,
anybody
that's
with
true.
an
That's true.
iPhone,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
it's not just people that have actually invested in their craft, like it could be anybody.
Yeah. That's facts.
And that's not to say that they're not a part of
Mhm.
content creation.
But
Like,
it's levels to it, right?
right.
Yeah, yeah.
Like do you want content creation? Do you
Mm,
want content for your business
mm,
or do you want a vision?
mm.
Do you
Yeah,
want to reach your audience in a different way? Do you want
right.
to connect with your target market?
Yeah.
That's what's important about having a creative on board rather than
Mhm.
just a content creator,
Right.
is because they can open doors for you that you wouldn't have been able to reach with someone that just sees you at face value.
Facts.
So there's a huge difference between just creating content and having an artistic vision
Mm,
behind your company.
yeah.
And that's where the price difference lies.
Nah, that's good. And staying on that same point too, right? For photographers too, everybody and their mom thinks that they're a real photographer,
Oh yeah.
and they aren't. Seeing what you guys do, the picture quality, the vision, everything, that's real photography. For people who don't know, can you please explain what photographers actually have to do? And it's not just taking a picture, upload. Like what actually goes into that process when it comes to photo shoots, productions, all those things.
The photography process is definitely way more than just taking a picture.
Mhm.
You don't just show up to set that day and know how to take a picture.
Right.
It has truly taken people at the top of their game have spent years
Mm,
studying and working on it.
yeah.
I mean, just like any profession,
Yeah.
you have to look at a truck driver.
Mhm.
You don't put somebody behind
You
an
gotta get a
18
license.
wheeler.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Like
true.
there's steps and
Yeah.
there's, accountability and more responsibility. So the same thing goes for photography.
Mm,
You are not just, hiring somebody to take your photos.
mm,
You are hiring somebody to take everything they've learned and everything they've experienced in
mm,
every trial and error
right.
and putting it into that shoot.
Mm,
So you have to see far beyond the hour that you're booking someone
mm,
and realize that this is their profession. This is what they do.
yeah.
And I promise you, as a client, when you invest in your creatives,
Mm,
they flourish.
mm.
because it's very tough to be creative and you're on a strict budget.
Yeah.
You don't know what you're gonna eat.
That's
You
true.
can't buy a new camera when you
Mhm.
drop it. Like,
Yeah.
that's a tough situation to be in, and it
Mm.
hinders creativity.
Yeah.
So you will get a return on your investment
Mm.
if you invest in the creative community and in photographers. We
Mm.
don't take that lightly when
Mm.
somebody invests in us.
Yeah, I love that. Shout out again to my girl June, videographer. She's killing it. Earlier, June, she tripped, and when she tripped, she told me that she was worried about her equipment, and that actually made me take a step back. Like, dang, like you have to be super dedicated to where if you fall, even like I'm not even worried about me. Like I'm worried about the camera. I'm worried about the
Right.
lights. Can you speak on that importance of the equipment aspect? Because I don't think people understand how much money goes into the equipment.
Absolutely. A lot of productions don't even own their equipment.
Mm,
A lot of this stuff is rented.
wow.
So not only are you spending a ton of money on rentals
You gotta
that,
take care of
yeah, you got to
it.
take care of it, you have to maintain it,
Yeah.
you already have an extra stress level
Mhm.
just by having equipment on any set. But that's a huge responsibility. So I think anybody that, is having a photographer come out or a production team,
Yeah.
then you have to be aware of the equipment and how
Mhm.
much it took to get that there.
Mm.
Whether it's their own equipment
Yeah.
and they've invested a couple paychecks in
Mm.
it, or they've had to rent it for 3 days at a time,
Mhm.
or even for a week. It's helpful to invest.
Yeah.
Like, I promise you, like I said, you will get a return on your investment because equipment is not cheap,
At all.
and that's probably the biggest part of anybody's budget is making
Mhm.
sure that a creative has the resources they need to create a quality product.
Yes. And for creatives, photographers who want to start buying their own equipment, owning it, even renting it, what steps should they go about when it comes to the financial aspect of it, of not spending too much on it, but also where do you start? Because I feel like you can get overwhelmed by you start thinking about the different type of lenses, the camera, the lighting, all of those just crazy different things. How do
Right.
you get involved in it, but not going overboard when it comes to like the budget aspect of it? How do you get started?
Getting started as a photographer, you definitely want to find a camera that you
Mm,
can change the lens on.
right.
So, a DSLR, something that you can upgrade from.
Mhm.
So, even if your camera body is not the best,
Yeah.
you can always put a new lens on it, you can change it up. So, I think starting with a good basis, I
Mhm.
actually started with the Nikon D3200.
Okay.
Part of why my favorite number is 32, I didn't realize that, but
It was meant to be.
it was meant to be. But that camera
Yeah.
really, like, was the foundation of my photography.
Wow.
I had it when I was a senior in high school.
Mm.
Well, it wasn't my own. My photography teacher actually let me use the one for the class.
Wow.
And we were typically supposed to have it for like 2 weeks at a time. We were
Mhm.
supposed to, give it back and
Yeah.
let other people use it.
Yeah.
As anybody can tell you, I kept that photography on my hip for the entire senior year.
Wow. I
Like,
love that.
it did not leave my side.
Yeah.
I took it on the bus with me. Like,
Mm.
if anybody saw it and it
Mm.
wasn't with me, they'd
Yeah.
bring it to me. Like,
Yeah.
that was my camera.
Mm.
So, finding that foundation camera just to get you started,
Mm.
just to start creating and have quality,
Yeah.
that's where it lies for photographers getting started. You have to have something to give you some type of quality.
Mm.
And that's not to say that you can't start with a point and shoot.
Yeah.
You absolutely can. You can
Mm.
start with your iPhone
Mm.
because creativity, when people are looking at a photo, other photographers might say, oh, well, that's probably shot on that.
Mm.
Or, that's probably not the best lens for
Mm.
that or whatever.
Yeah.
But clients don't know that.
Yeah. That's true.
If you're shooting with the iPhone, you be confident with that iPhone. I know
Yeah.
people making a living with their iPhone.
Wow.
There's a new series that actually came out during quarantine by one of my favorite photographers, John Keatley, and he did the iPhone portraits. So, and he wasn't even there. It was FaceTime.
Yo, that's crazy.
But his photos have ended up on billboards.
Mm.
They've ended up on, which he's very established, obviously, but
Yeah.
he did not take having to be socially distanced and doing virtual shoots.
It
He
didn't
did not,
stop him.
it didn't stop him.
Yeah.
So you have to be confident
Mm.
in whatever equipment you have because
Mm.
ultimately, when someone's booking you, they just want to know you can get to a finished product.
That's it.
They might look at you a little crazy if you
Yeah.
bring an iPhone or you bring a point and shoot,
Yeah.
but if you have the confidence in yourself
Mm.
and you have put in the time and the
Yeah.
effort to make sure that you're prepared for that job,
Yeah.
then there's no question.
That's dope. Resourcefulness, that's a big thing, using the resources like what you just told me. Oh, dude, he was using the iPhone. That's crazy.
Yeah.
So, how do we start using what's around us too? Because I know, with the equipment, again, we'll think about the expenses. So, if we can't afford that, how do we start using the iPhone or even a used camera? Like, how do we start using things that's actually already here and around us?
So the best thing for photography is natural light.
Mm,
You can never go wrong with natural light. People think you have to start with studio, you need big equipment, you
yeah.
need like flags
Yeah.
set up, you need
Yeah.
everything.
Yeah.
But natural light can be
Mhm,
your best friend. And
mhm,
that's where most photographers start. Even if they're studio professionals, you have to understand just general lighting in
mhm,
order to figure out how to do your craft
mm,
professionally. So starting outside, starting with a reflector card,
mhm.
that's your light right there. You
Wow.
bounce some of that sunlight,
Wow.
it's like a studio.
Hey, you putting me on game right now. I'm taking notes in my head, so
Oh
that's good.
yeah.
That's good.
Get you a reflector card, get you, a big white sheet. Maybe you
Mm,
don't have something to diffuse the light.
yeah.
Buy you a white sheet, bring one from home, tie it
Wow.
up on some trees. Like
Wow.
you can get creative.
Mm,
Like I said, people are less concerned about the process of how you get there now.
yeah.
So if people are already not concerned with that, you might as well just do whatever you got to do to make it
Mm,
happen.
I love that.
So there's plenty of budget efficient ways to, you know, be an amazing photographer
Mm,
and not have to spend your whole paycheck.
yeah.
And even if it's something like an artist meetup that you want to do
Mhm,
yourself, you
right.
want to create something bigger than you.
Yeah.
You don't have to spend a whole paycheck. You don't have to, create this amazing experience.
Yeah.
And sometimes you get caught up in like seeing other people and
Mhm.
like comparing
Yeah.
what you're doing and what they're doing,
Yeah.
but you have no idea their budget.
Yeah. That's true.
You have no idea who's investing in that project.
Mm,
So don't feel like your product is any less than
mm,
just because you don't have the equipment,
mhm.
because there is a way to make it
No, you're
there
good. You're
there
good.
is a way to make it happen.
Yes, I love that. And you said something that was very important too about comparison. And especially for creatives, we can get caught up in comparing to this person, to that person, and feeling like I'm not doing enough. How do we not compare so much and just appreciate what we do have and also know that we are doing more than enough?
It's very easy to compare when you're on social media.
Mm,
That is the key spot to
yeah.
see everybody doing whatever they want to show you.
Hmm.
And it's typically the best side of them.
Yeah. It's
So
a
you
highlight reel.
right.
Yeah.
So you have to understand, we talked about like the highs and the lows.
Hmm.
People are not posting their lows.
That's a fact.
People are not like when you don't see somebody on social media for
Mm.
months, you have no idea why.
They could be going through it right now.
They could be going through
That's
it.
it. Yeah.
So
Dang.
you have to realize that the people you're comparing to, first of all, they're not on your path.
Mm,
They have nothing to do with where you're going. I used to think I had to have, like I said, the celebrities, the best studios in Atlanta.
yeah.
But I promise you, what other people are doing is not your path.
Mm,
And what is for you is for you. The
that's right.
people that are supposed to be there will be there. The photography job, if you are just focused on what you're supposed to be doing,
Yeah.
the right people will come, the
Mm,
resources will come.
mm.
Somebody will take you to their car and bring you 50 bucks. Like
Yeah.
they will invest in you because people love authenticity.
Mm,
People love people going creatives going through the ups and downs
right.
and seeing where they fit in.
Yeah. That's amazing advice. And when it comes to feeling that love, when it comes to being inspired or people sending you $50, which is amazing, how do you feel when you see people actually getting something out of Exposure Heights, getting something out of the artist meetups? How do you feel when you see that?
It feels to be a part of something bigger than myself already feels amazing. Knowing that it's not just for like the social part of it,
Mm,
but it's really kind of filling a piece in somebody that needs it. Like I said,
right.
people pull what they need from it.
Yeah.
I was talking to one of my team members, Perez. He hosts our photo walks,
Wow,
so we do photo walks downtown. And
that's
I
dope.
was telling him the other day, as we were watching, like just everybody. I mean, it was nothing extravagant.
Mhm,
We didn't bring anything out. It was just like this kind of old abandoned building we were at, and people were kind of getting off in it
mm,
and shooting through windows and things like that. And I told him, I was like, this just this is amazing.
Yeah.
This is what, like I said, keeps me going,
Mhm.
and it truly keeps my creativity burning.
Yeah.
Seeing other people in their element, seeing
Mm,
them do what they love.
mm.
So we are so fortunate, like I said, with Exposure Heights to have met so many amazing creatives
Right.
that we've created such a tight knit community of
Mm,
people that continue to come out.
mm.
They come out for photo walks, for artist meetups, for free events, for paid events.
Yeah.
They believe in our vision.
Mm.
And another thing, too, we are trying to expand not just for the business side of it
Mm.
and not for us to just benefit and get paid.
Right.
It's for us to reach more people. There's
Mm.
people in other cities that need this
That's
experience.
true.
People talk about all the time, when are you coming to Valdosta?
Wow.
I have a friend down there. He's like, you got to come to Valdosta. We
Wow.
need this here.
Wow.
So if we're going to reach and expand, we have to continue to grow and
Mm.
continue to, make smart business decisions.
Yeah.
That way we can impact the most people.
I love that.
So it's not about having a ton of people at our events,
Mm.
but we want the right people
That's right.
and we want to reach as many people in whatever way they need.
Photo walks. It sounded very interesting, very cool for people who may not know what a photo walk is. Can you break it down for us?
Sure. So photo walks are typically hosted by Perez. He's
Mm.
Rez1K on Instagram, Rez1K underscore. And he gets amazing shots downtown.
Nice.
He loves, shooting shadows
Mm.
and just candid shots of
Mm.
people and buildings,
Wow.
and is the perfect person to lead our photo walks. So
Love
he'll
that.
find like a route, really cool route in downtown Atlanta,
Mm.
which I'm sure will expand, but for right now it's downtown. We did one by the Ferris wheel. We did one at Pond City Market.
Nice.
And just find the really cool corners of Atlanta, the places that you can't see by just driving by.
Yeah.
It takes you being on the street and walking to find them.
Mm.
And it's just been the best experience.
I love
Like,
that.
it's not as complicated as an artist meetup,
Yeah.
but the same enthusiasm, the
Mm.
same amount of creativity comes from it.
Wow.
And you just see all the photographers buzzing around and
Yeah.
meeting new people. Like, it's truly fulfilling to watch.
Mm.
And that's, you know, a smaller piece of Exposure Heights,
Yeah.
but it's something that we value a ton
I love that.
because those genuine connections and interactions, that's what makes Exposure Heights great.
That's dope. Hearing your story about being in high school, senior year, holding on to the camera, it shows that you've been at this for a minute. Can you speak on the journey from high school all the way up to here, the lessons learned, and the ups, along with all the downs as well?
Sure. So I had no idea Exposure Heights was what I wanted to do.
Mm.
I had no end goal in mind.
Yeah.
So starting off, I was just a creative, having the ups and downs
Yeah.
and not knowing where my purpose lied.
Mm.
So I found myself in high school, shooting around, shooting anything.
Yeah.
By college time, I put the camera away.
Mm.
I went to school thinking photography is not a reasonable career.
Yeah.
Like, you have to be at the top of your game, you have to have a team.
Mm.
I was very concerned that I'm not going to make it out of college, with a career if I
Yeah.
stick with photography. So I switched a couple times. I, wanted to be a teacher at one point.
Wow.
And then I think I switched to mass communications. So
Wow.
that was a little closer.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then by the end, I became an art major.
Mm.
And that's where I was just blown away
Yeah.
with there's people that do this.
Yeah.
There's people that like spend day in and day out
Mm.
thinking about projects and like creative things.
Wow.
And I got to my third year of school and I told my mom, I'm like, I don't want to do this anymore.
Mm.
And I decided to drop out.
Wow.
So during my last semester in school is when I had my first artist meetup.
Mm.
Or no, I'm sorry, the semester before I dropped out was when I
Yeah.
had my first artist meetup.
Wow.
And then I had one more artist meetup my last semester in college.
Wow.
And I just knew that I couldn't spend another year and a half, probably 2 years. I think I
Mm.
was so behind on credits.
Wow.
But I couldn't spend another 2 years trying to figure out what I wanted. I just needed to
Mm.
do.
I love that.
And, my mom was not for it
Of
at
course, you
first.
know how parents are. Yeah.
She did not understand the vision, but she quickly turned
Mm.
around when she saw the artist meetups and she saw how enthused people were to come and to
That's right.
create. She was like, Brittany, this is something.
Yeah.
Like, you've got something going. So
Wow.
she became very supportive of me, leaving school and but it left me with a lot of uncertainty because coming out of school, I had no preparation to become a photographer.
Wow.
They prepared me to study and to get good grades. I take that back. I didn't get good grades.
It's all good.
But, they taught me the logistical parts of being a working human
Yeah,
being,
that's real.
but didn't necessarily invest in what I wanted to do.
Right.
So, and this is not to say that I don't want people to go to college.
Of course.
College is an amazing experience. I've met some of my closest friends there.
Yep.
College is the place to be if you don't have to pay too much for it.
Right.
If you have a choice between a place you have to pay for and go into thousands of dollars of debt, I recommend sticking with your craft.
Yeah.
Because you find that team, you find that
You're
network,
good.
you guys can conquer the world.
That's right.
So a college degree does not define you. And I think it's starting to shift a little more. It used to be the social norm. You have to go to college,
Yeah.
get a degree, maybe get a second one. But now, people are realizing that's not the only option.
It's changing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So if I can reach people before they get to 4 years of school,
Right.
and I can reach them and say, no, your dream is reasonable. Your vision and your passion is not taken for granted. Like there's a career path for you.
Right.
Then we may be able to keep people from, getting all the way through school. They have been so focused on their grades and paperwork that they're not even creative when they come out, and they go
Just
into
program pretty much, right?
and go into a 9 to 5.
Yep.
And you just get stuck. And as
Mm.
creatives, we already get stuck. So we don't need 4 years of no creative time
Yeah.
and as we're still trying to figure ourselves out, creativity is a part of us. That's part of discovering who you are,
That's
is
right.
figuring out who you are as a creative.
That's right.
So I hope to reach people before they get to the end of their 4 years, and not to say drop out. Maybe
Right.
you can finish it out.
Yeah.
But don't go into thousands of dollars of debt and you still have no idea what you want to do. Take some time to work on your craft.
Yeah.
Find a job that gives you flexibility.
That's
There
right.
is no shame in working a 9 to 5
At
as a
all.
creative.
Yeah.
I still work a 9 to
Yeah.
5.
Yeah.
It is essential to fund your dream and your craft. So take no shame in, working until you can start doing it full time.
For creatives right now, I feel like in college, the professors are somewhat behind when it comes to what's going on right now because so much is changing when it comes to the equipment, content creation, photography, podcasting. Do you feel like it's necessary for creatives to go to higher education, to go to college, or does it make more sense for creatives to just start doing what they're already doing because it's like you're learning on the fly? So, how do you feel about that?
I think college is a great way to get that structure. So if you don't quite know what you want to do, college might be a good option for you. Like if you have absolutely no idea, because it gives you exposure to different avenues and different creativity. Like when I went to college, I didn't just take photography classes. I took sculpting, I took
Wow.
drawing, I took just a bunch of different classes that kind of opened my eyes to who I was as a creative. So it wasn't all bad. I will say, like, the art departments in general really understand that.
Yeah.
But as far as a school, you still have to spend your first 2 years not having any, connection with your creativity.
That is true.
You
Yeah.
got to work on
Yeah.
history classes and
Yeah.
astronomy and stuff like that, and that's all great, and that may open a new avenue for you as well. But especially if you're coming straight out of high school and you know that you're a creative, this is what you want to do, find a couple other people that want to do the same thing.
Yeah.
And just go for it.
Yeah.
College will always be there. They are never going to tell you can't spend money there.
That's real.
So if you decide 2 years after trying out being a creative that you need to go to school, then do it. There's no timeline. There's no, you have to be out of school by 23.
Yeah.
That's so unreasonable.
Wow.
Because everybody else's path, that might work for them, but you have to do what works for you. And if that means trying out you as a creative and learning the business side and getting a team on your side to really elevate you, then that's the way to go.
I love that.
As creatives, we're always trying to push the envelope, create new ideas, new creations nonstop, where we can feel pressure. Like I always have to keep pushing. But how do we stop putting so much pressure on ourselves and relax and
not always worry about what's next all the time?
It's very easy to focus on what's next,
Mm-hmm.
but sometimes you have to focus on just what you need in this moment.
Mm.
So that might mean taking a month off or taking 2 months off.
Yeah.
And really focusing on just what you need as a creative and what projects you can do to light that fire again.
Right.
So it's not always about, consistency is great, don't get me wrong. But when especially if you're in it alone, don't feel like you have to be so consistent. People that see your worth and see your value, they're going to pick right back up where you left off.
That's very true.
Those committed people to your page and your vision. I went months without having an artist meetup.
Wow.
And just felt like, nobody's going to come back.
Yeah.
Like I have lost all, consistency. Nobody is going to remember us.
Yeah.
But I promise you, if you have something worth being a part of, they'll come back. And same thing goes for photography. If you need a break to figure out your next step, then take that time for yourself. Go on a vacation, hang out with a family member, whatever you need to do to kind of refocus, then your audience will be there when you get back. But if you are so focused on just creating consistently, you forget that that's not what art is about.
That's right.
It's not about being able to on the fly come up with something, just the next best idea.
Yeah.
We want to have the next best idea, obviously, but it's just not possible. So you have to give yourself space and room to just be and sit quietly and figure out where you're going next.
That's amazing. Brittany, you've killed this interview. Thank you for your time, your knowledge. Before we bounce, my very last question: where do you see Brittany, Exposure Heights, everything, your business, your brand within the next 5 to 10 years?
5 to 10 years. I'm still thinking about tomorrow.
I feel you.
But Exposure Heights in 5 to 10 years is definitely going to be international. There are creatives everywhere looking for what we bring to the table. And we hope to reach those people through social media, through our events.
Right.
And we also want to develop this brand of, like I said, erasing the starving artists.
Facts.
Making sure that everybody in our community is eating and making sure that they have opportunities. So in 5 to 10 years, I hope that we are just making the big bucks.
Yeah, I love it.
And able to hire and delegate jobs and, just make it a community. You can have an audience, you can have people watching what you're doing, but we truly want everybody that's a part of Exposure Heights, whether you just come to the photo walks or you volunteer at an artist meetup. We want you to feel like you are a part of Exposure Heights. And as we grow and as we book bigger clients and as we, expand and collaborate with different studios here in Atlanta, you're a part of that. So we are going to continue to find ways to invest in our community.
That's right.
Invest in, creatives as a whole.
Yeah.
And, we hope to, like I said, bring everybody with us.
I love that. And also, where can everybody follow you and keep up with all of your work?
Sure. So we are on Instagram at Exposure Heights. If you want to follow us for our photo walks and artist meetups, we are EH Community 32 on Instagram. You can check out our website. It's just exposureheights.com. And we want you to be a part of our community. We want to, bring as many creatives on board because this is bigger than photography. This is about feeding our creativity and our passion. So please reach out to us, see how you can be a part of it. And we hope to see you guys at the next artist meetup, photo walk, whatever comes next.
Most definitely. Thank you guys again for tapping in. Make sure to tap in with Exposure Heights. Special shout out to Brittany Warren. Special shout out to June as well for always killing it. Thank you guys again for tapping in to another episode of the 3 Milli Podcast. Blessed to be your host, Caleb Smith. Keep grinding, keep shining. Be blessed.